We've built the ultimate 1440p gaming PC, and I think we might have cooked with this one. And naturally, a good starting point of any gaming PC build is the processor. And today we've gone with the Ryzen 5 7600, which is one of, if not the best value CPU on the market right now, purely because of its 6 cores, 12 threads, and its Zen 4 architecture. So it's going to play any game out there, even paired with some of the fastest GPUs on the planet. And for our GPU choice today, I think it's an excellent pairing at both 1440p and 4K, and it slots quite well into our X670E Tomahawk. Yes, I know this motherboard is a bit overkill for the 7600, and we'd recommend a B650 or a B650E motherboard, but this is the only AM5 board we've got spare in the studio or office or whatever you want to call it, so it's the one we've used, but luckily it suits this build quite well. And it's a good job we've gone with the X670E Tomahawk, because we need a Gen 5 M.2 port for the T705 from Crucial. This is a blazing fast SSD, clocking out at around 14 gigabytes read and 12 gigabytes per second write. So it's more than fast enough for any gamer or content creator out there, and I suspect, yeah, this will be fast enough for your needs. But we also need to cache that data with some memory, and this is where the DDR5 Pro OC from Crucial comes in. It's nice and stealthy, so it suits our build pretty decently, I'd like to say, and it's also fast enough with up to 6400 mega transfers per second at CL38. But there is another Expo profile which I am using today, which is 6000 MHz CL36. This is to get a one-to-one with the Infinity fabric with the Ryzen 7600, as at 6400 MHz it just doesn't want it. Also, if you want to use any of the parts which I've used in this PC build, they are linked below with my Amazon affiliate links. I do make a small kickback from these, but you do really help out the channel. To house the platform, Be Quiet sent out their brand new Lightbase 900, and let me tell you now, this is an absolute behemoth of a case, and you're going to need a lot of desk space in order to even fit this on your desk. It was quite a struggle with our desk, so yeah. However, we can argue that's a good thing, because it does allow for a lot of creativity inside the case. You can go with dual 420mm radiators if you would like, and it does allow for absolutely massive graphics cards, especially with the GPU sag bracket it's got, so you can absolutely flex off different PC builds if you would like. Oh, and for you people that really do not like RGB software, it's got a built-in button into the case where you can control the ARGB, so big pro from Be Quiet right there. For power, we've gone with an 850 watt Be Quiet power supply, and it's more than enough for a build like this, and it even offers some headroom if you wanted to upgrade the CPU to like a Ryzen 9 or maybe even an RTX 4090. This power supply would take it. But after that's in, it's time for our least favourite part of a PC build, the cable management. However, it's pretty easy in the Lightbase 900, as there's plenty of space, and there's even this sort of bracket that holds the 2.5 inch SATA drives, which covers most of the cable management anyway, so you can hide your cable management, or lack thereof in our case today. And there's a reason why we went with a 12 volt high power cable. Well, better not touch it actually, we know how temperamental this connector is. Anyways, we went with the RTX 4070 Ti Super, more specifically the Ventus 3X from MSI. They did send this one out for this PC build, so a big thank you to MSI. However, I don't get to keep it. Yeah. Anyways, this graphics card is perfectly capable of 1440p gaming, even with ray tracing enabled, as I should hope so considering the price tag of this graphics card. And when paired with the Ryzen 5 7600, you're not going to be having any significant bottlenecking at all, particularly at high resolutions like Quad HD or even 4K. But how does this PC get on? Well, to answer that, we've done some benchmarks at both 1440p and 4K, so let's see how it gets on. We're going to start off with rasterization first with Cyberpunk 2077, and a nice 100 FPS for the average frame rate, and a relatively decent 1% low at Quad HD. Yeah, absolutely zero issues there. Maybe we were slightly CPU bound, but it doesn't really matter with this sort of performance. And then 4K, it does really hit the 4070 Ti Super pretty hard, where the average more than halves, but the 1% low is always okay. What I'd recommend here is enabling DLSS on quality, and you're going to be getting very good performance. But the Ultra preset in Cyberpunk, yeah, looks quite good. The Ultra preset is something that I don't recommend in Black Ops 6, however, because 102 FPS on average at 1440p may at face value seem pretty decent, and if you're playing like zombies in the campaign, that is very good because you get the performance and the quality there. The 1% low though is looking rather lackluster. I've noticed the benchmark stutters quite a bit in Black Ops 6, so there is that. 4K is just shy of 60 FPS and the 1% low is still not looking particularly great. Yes, it is playable, and I'd say at the higher resolutions, just enable DLSS or lower the settings a bit and you'll be perfectly fine. Where you will be perfectly fine on the Ultra preset is God of War Ragnarok, because on both of these resolutions, yeah, you're not going to be having any problems. You're getting just under 120 FPS at 1440p with a relatively decent 1% low, and even at 4K that 1% low does close up to the average frame rate. So yeah, if you've got like an LG OLED or something, God of War Ragnarok looks and plays absolutely brilliant even at 4K. Fortnite on DirectX 11 with medium settings performs as you'd expect it to. 1440p, you're getting plenty of performance there. The 1% low doesn't look the most brilliant, but it's Unreal Engine 5, what can you do? And then even 4K, you're getting just shy of 200 FPS and a somewhat okay 1% low, which leads me to believe, yeah, you won't be having any problems in Fortnite, but you shouldn't. This PC is like very good for this game. Jedi Survivor on the Epic preset at 1440p runs pretty well with the average frame rate. The 1% low, however, yeah, in typical Jedi Survivor fashion, is not particularly brilliant. This is something we found out with the RTX 3080 as well. The averages were quite good, but the 1% lows were pretty lackluster. However, the frame pacing does sort of catch up at 4K, as the average does drop down to around 47-ish frames, and the 1% low is only lagging behind by about 11 frames. So yeah, it performs somewhat okay at 4K. I'll just recommend enabling DLSS here. Across both resolutions in Hogwarts Legacy, this PC performs pretty, well, brilliantly. Because 1440p runs very nice, just under 100 FPS. The frame time is leaving a bit of room for improvement, I'd like to say. But when you hop over to 4K, yeah, you're getting 60 FPS on average, or, well, one more than that. And the 1% lows, oh, yeah, they're okay. They're not too bad. Switching on ray tracing in Cyberpunk 2077 with DLSS quality, yeah, it's very playable on the RT Ultra preset. You're getting just south of 90 FPS on average at 1440p with an okay 1% low. And at 4K, it's a bit too much of an ask. You might need to do some settings tweaking here or enable DLSS on the balanced preset. But even so, getting around 50-ish FPS, well, 47 frames per second on average at 4K with DLSS with full-on ray tracing, I mean, that's pretty impressive. Jedi Survivor achieved 60 FPS for 1440p with ray tracing enabled, however the 1% lows are looking very bad. 30 FPS for the 1% low at 1440p is not great. This isn't to do with the PC, mind you, it's just that this game's a terrible port. This goes on at 4K as 43 FPS on average is about what I'd expect, but 22 FPS for the 1% low means the frame times are all over the place. Both resolutions, mind you, are using DLSS quality. And DLSS quality nets us some decent frame rate in Hogwarts Legacy. 68 FPS for the average frame rate at 1440p is pretty decent. The 1% low could do with a bit of a higher result, let's say, but it's not too bad. And then at 4K, it doesn't drop that much below 1440p, but this means we're kind of CPU bound at Quad HD. And then the 1% low isn't looking that bad here, so I'd say go ahead and enable ray tracing on a configuration like this in Hogwarts Legacy, because it looks quite good, and yeah, you're still getting over 60 FPS, particularly at 1440p if you do some tweaking with DLSS. Oh, I've got cramp. Anyways, this PC performs as good as it looks, and I think we've absolutely cooked with this PC in both its aesthetics and its performance. The blue on the light wings looks absolutely, well, phenomenal. I know it kind of clashes with the the look of the cable extensions. However, we were going with a sort of an electric theme with this, and the light wings look particularly great right there. I think Be Quiet have absolutely cooked with this case, and you can have it in multiple different orientations, so you can lie it down flat like a GPU testing PC, which is what this is going to be. And you can also have an inverted RTX layout as well, and it supports those Back Connect Project Zero motherboards. So if you want one of those, this case supports it, which is great to see. Anyways, I'd like to say thank you to MSI, Be Quiet and Crucial for sending parts out for today's build. And if you want to pick any of these up, there will be links in the description down below with my affiliate links. You do really help me out, and you do really help out our partners here. With that being said, if you want to watch another PC build, you can watch that in a video up there. And I'll catch you in the next one.